As an R&B legend yourself,
Yes, ma'am.
who do you think is the king of R&B?
R. Kelly.
You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. The case against R. Kelly did not begin in a courtroom. It began in the court of public opinion. A court where evidence is not weighed carefully, where accusations are rarely tested, and where the loudest voices often drown out the truth.
The music industry and RCA Records helped R. Kelly use his fame to abuse girls, and that's something that cannot stand.
And they were okay with it. We are going to walk into that building and demand that RCA hear the voices of us and hear the voices of the over 200,000 Americans who want RCA to drop R. Kelly.
And R. Kelly used the power of his celebrity and his music business to lure and to manipulate and to isolate and to denigrate many young girls.
From the very start, an aggressive wave of media activism surged against him. This was no ordinary reporting. It was a coordinated, relentless campaign designed to silence him, destroy his legacy, and most importantly, strip him of the financial resources he would need to mount a strong legal defense. The strategy was clear: attack not just the man but the art. Discourage radio stations from playing his music. Convince streaming platforms to bury his catalog. Pressure fans into abandoning him. The goal was not only to tarnish his name but to cripple him financially, ensuring that by the time he stepped into a courtroom, he would already be at a devastating disadvantage. When a defendant cannot afford the best legal team, when they are forced to fight on two fronts, the legal system and the media battlefield, justice becomes a distant dream. And in R. Kelly's case, this was exactly the outcome those behind the campaign seemed to want. The government, in tandem with forces determined to see him ruined, appeared to benefit from this storm of negative publicity. It was not just a passive backdrop to the case. It was an active weapon. And among the loudest and most influential weapons was the Me Too movement, which at the time was riding a wave of widespread cultural influence. Now let's be clear. The Me Too movement began as a platform to address genuine cases of abuse. But in R. Kelly's situation, its involvement took on a different tone. The accusations against him were amplified far beyond normal coverage, repeated in endless headlines, and treated as established fact before a jury ever deliberated. And in the middle of this public firestorm came the now infamous Surviving R. Kelly documentary series. A production that was anything but neutral. These documentary producers were not just chronicling events. They were actively shaping the public's perception of him, hand-picking allegations, editing narratives, and presenting them as an undeniable truth. They gave the impression that this man was not merely flawed but a monster. The worst man that ever lived, in the words of some, and they delivered that message to millions of viewers around the world. And here's the tragedy: many people bought it. Many believed it without ever taking the time to question it. Without ever asking, where is the evidence? Where are the facts? Minds were molded, prejudices formed, and the story was set in stone before R. Kelly's lawyers could even begin their work. This is what happens when propaganda replaces objective reporting. When emotion replaces examination. And when trial by television takes the place of trial by law. But here's something the orchestrators of this campaign did not count on: not everyone was willing to be manipulated. Not everyone could be swayed by flashy editing, ominous background music, and tearful interviews carefully arranged for maximum impact. Among the crowd of voices echoing the narrative, there were and still are some critical thinkers. People who refused to jump on the bandwagon just because it was popular. People who took the time to investigate for themselves, to look past the headlines and to ask the hard questions. These individuals saw that the portrayal of R. Kelly was not the full story. They recognized that it is possible for a man to be accused without being guilty. They understood that the truth is rarely as simple as the media makes it seem. And perhaps most importantly, they refused to let public opinion dictate their own. One such example is Hollywood star Tyrese Gibson. In a media interview, When asked who he believed was the true king of R&B, Tyrese did not hesitate to say R. Kelly's name. He did so without apology, without fear of the backlash that inevitably comes when someone dares to express an unpopular opinion. And that moment matters. Because it takes courage to speak truth in a climate where disagreement is punished. It takes integrity to acknowledge someone's contributions and talent even when their reputation is under attack. When Tyrese said R. Kelly's name, he wasn't just answering a question. He was making a statement, that art should be judged on its own merits, that history should not be erased because of media pressure, and that facts should matter more than gossip. People like Tyrese remind us of something important. Real stars are not only those who shine on stage but those who stand firm when it matters. They are the ones who can separate fact from fiction, who can think critically in a world that rewards conformity. The truth is R. Kelly is and remains a musical genius. He is the man who shaped R&B for decades, who penned songs that became global anthems, and who inspired generations of artists. His contributions to music cannot be denied no matter how hard certain groups try to erase them. And yet the prejudicial court system he faced was anything but fair. The environment surrounding his trial was poisoned long before the first piece of evidence was presented. Jurors, judges and even prosecutors live in the same media-saturated world as the rest of us, and when the public narrative is that someone is a serial predator who must be locked up, it becomes nearly impossible to get a truly impartial hearing. This is why the presumption of innocence exists or should exist. Because without it, every defendant becomes guilty the moment they are accused. And when the system bends to public pressure, justice ceases to be justice at all. R. Kelly's conviction cannot be viewed in isolation. It must be seen in the context of the media war waged against him. A war that was not about truth but about destruction. And here's the uncomfortable reality, some people wanted him gone not because of the crimes alleged, but because of who he was, what he represented and what he had achieved. To them, R. Kelly was not just a man. He was a symbol they wanted to tear down. They did not want to see him fight back. They did not want to see him win in court. They wanted him bankrupted, silenced and forgotten. And to achieve that, they weaponized the public's emotions. They used protests, boycotts and documentaries to make sure that by the time his trial began, the verdict in the public's mind was already guilty. But here's what we must remember, the truth does not disappear just because it's unpopular. Facts do not vanish because they are inconvenient. And the legacy of an artist cannot be erased by headlines alone. There will always be those who think for themselves, who resist the pull of propaganda, those who recognize that media narratives are not always aligned with reality. These people are the keepers of fairness in a world quick to condemn. They understand that justice must be based on evidence, not emotion. On facts and not feelings. R. Kelly's story is a reminder of how easily a reputation can be destroyed and how dangerous it is when the media and the legal system seem to work hand in hand. It is a reminder that the right to a fair trial is not just a legal technicality. It is the foundation of justice itself. And perhaps most importantly, it is a reminder that the voices of the few, those who stand up, those who ask questions, and those who refuse to be swept along by the tide are often the ones history remembers most kindly. So yes, despite everything, R. Kelly remains the king of R&B in the eyes of those who value truth over trends. In the eyes of those who can separate the man from the media narrative. In the eyes of those who recognize that being accused is not the same as being guilty. And no matter how loud the campaigns against him may be, no matter how many headlines scream for his downfall, there will always be people willing to look deeper and listen for themselves, keeping the truth alive. Because in the end it is not the media that decides who we are. It is not the propaganda that defines our worth. It is the truth and the truth alone that stands the test of time. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say. To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.